Hey solos, so you're going to Walt Disney World all by yourself and you want to know if you should go and visit or even stay at Disney's Wilderness Lodge, one of the deluxe resorts on the Disney property. Well, solo spoiler, Wilderness Lodge is like this kind of secret hidden spot at Disney World. It is so different from Magic Kingdom, which you can practically see from Wilderness Lodge. And if you were looking for a place just to kind of relax, eat some good food, have some really interesting food type experiences, then Wilderness Lodge is definitely a great place to go and check out. Hi everyone, it's Samantha. Olaf may not know who Samantha is, but now you do, and welcome to Disney Solo Magic, the #1 podcast for solo travel to Disney World. This episode, we are continuing our series on the deluxe resort, and we are going to Wilderness Lodge. And I've said on the podcast last week that I am very uncomfortable with the order that I'm doing these in. But this one's actually not too bad in relation to Contemporary Resort, which was last week, because Wilderness Lodge is also considered like a Magic Kingdom resort. It's not on the monorail like Grand Floridian, Contemporary, and Polynesian is, but it is just a boat ride away from Magic Kingdom. And so let's just take that boat ride right over to Wilderness Lodge. What is really great about this series is that I've been able to get some feedback from you on things that you like or don't like about the different resorts. And there was somebody on YouTube that did a shout out for Contemporary Cafe or Contempo Cafe as a really great place to go and eat in kind of like in the middle part of the Magic Kingdom day. And so I mentioned that on the episode. Francine talked about that during her little solo story. And so that is another vote for Contempo Cafe in the middle of the afternoon if you are open to going to Contemporary Resort in the middle of your Magic Kingdom day. And so that is really wonderful. Still nobody has told me anything about the gym at Contemporary. And I don't want to say that it's on my list of places to definitely visit on this upcoming trip because that sounds boring, but it is definitely on my list of places to visit on my upcoming trip because I have received no feedback about the gym at Contemporary. If you have sent me a message about your experiences at one of these deluxe resorts, just remember that the best way to get in touch with me is through Instagram, but you can also make comments on YouTube and I'll see those right away. I am on YouTube, on Apple, and on Spotify for you to listen to this. Please make sure you rate, review, and subscribe, etc. And I'm also on Facebook, Threads, and Instagram, but again, I'm the most active on Instagram. But this summer has been so busy. So I have been a little remiss on responding to people in a timely manner, as we shouldn't be saying in the summer because that is business school year type of talk. So thank you for your patience. One of the other great things about this deluxe resort series is that thanks to a suggestion from one of you, I'm also interviewing people who have stayed at these different resorts. This week I am interviewing Lauren, who has been on the podcast before. All of the information for her social media are down below, including a YouTube link to her YouTube channel where she has some videos on Wilderness Lodge. So that's really awesome as well. Please make sure you follow her and check her out. Finally, this podcast has a Patreon. It is very inexpensive. It's $1 a week for Americans or $1.25 for Canadians. And you get a video of all of the solo stories that we do, us talking, which is so great because when people come on, they're always dressed up and they have so many things they want to show in the background of their offices. So please go make sure you take a look. You also get a reflection on every one of the episodes, which are often quite long. They're like mini episodes. And I've also been doing one bonus episode a month, which has been pretty cool. I've done an episode last month, or I guess this month in July, on pixie dusting. So you can go check that out. And I have some other things coming up in August because I will be traveling to Walt Disney World, which is really exciting. So I'm not going to talk too much about the schedule in August. You'll be able to see that on Patreon, which I can't wait to share with you. Please make sure you check the link below for the link to Patreon. It is a 7-day free trial, so no risk. And next week we have a very big guest, which is going to be really exciting for you to be able to watch our conversation. All right, I think that's it. Let's get into it. Okay, so Wilderness Lodge. Gosh, Wilderness Lodge is so different than so much of Walt Disney property. And I'm going to be completely honest here. As a Canadian, although the Wilderness Lodge resort is like Pacific Northwest themed, as a Canadian, we have a lot of like big trees and nature, not too far from where I live in Toronto. So I was kind of turned off from visiting Wilderness Lodge because I was like, well, if I wanted to see this type of nature, I can drive a few hours north and see it in cottage country in the Muskoka area, or I can go to different parts of Canada and see it. So I was a little turned off by the idea of Wilderness Lodge just because I felt like, well, I'm here in Florida. I want to see Florida things, or I want to see things that make sense in the Florida weather. And Pacific Northwest Hotel is not one of those things. However, I am really glad that I disagreed with myself and went to Wilderness Lodge because it really, really is a special place. And I mean, I'll just, again, solo spoiler right at the beginning. I really recommend that you go and visit, but I do just want to put the caveat that it is so different than anything else on the Disney property that it might be the perfect thing that you want and need from your trip, or you might feel like it's way too chill and like not the vibe you're looking for. So it's really kind of this sweet spot about like whether or not this is a place that makes the most sense for you in your Disney vacation to go and visit or to go and stay at. And so hopefully I give you some information in this podcast that can help you make that decision. And again, you do you, bibbidi bobbidi boo. If I'm like, oh my God, it has this beautiful outdoor restaurant that you can just sit and relax and look at the lake. And you're like, why would I want to sit and relax and look at a lake when I'm at Walt Disney World? All I want to do is like ride rides and like move and ride, like all this stuff. And that's wonderful. Again, you do you, bibbidi bobbidi boo. So this episode will give you some background about that. Before we begin, let's just do a quick overview. Disney has 3.5 different resort categories: value, moderate, and deluxe. The half category is deluxe villas, which are essentially deluxe hotels, but that are part of the Disney Vacation Club, or DVC. All of the deluxe resorts pretty much have DVC components. It is essentially the same hotel. The rooms are just kind of structured differently. I've talked about this in other episodes and in the solo stories, so go and check those out if you want more details. One of the things about the deluxe resorts is that, except for Animal Kingdom, you don't need to take a bus to get to at least one park. So at the Contemporary Resort, which I talked about last week, you can walk to Magic Kingdom, which is Chef's Kiss. At Wilderness Lodge, you can take a boat to Magic Kingdom, which is more of a chef's kiss because I love a Disney boat. Wilderness Lodge faces Bay Lake, and so you can go very quickly to and from Magic Kingdom through that boat, which is excellent. So if you are at Magic Kingdom and you want to go visit Wilderness Lodge for the day, you can, or even just an hour, just for lunch or something, you can take the boat and it will get you there, and you have this nice serene boat, and then you show up at Wilderness Lodge, and again, with this episode, hopefully you'll be able to know where you want to check out. If you're staying at Wilderness Lodge, you also will be able to take the boat to and from. And if you're going to any of the other parks, you can take a Disney bus. Now, sometimes the Disney buses at Wilderness Lodge are the same buses to go to and from the parks that is at Contemporary. So it's like they don't have enough people in the middle of the afternoon to do one bus from Wilderness Lodge and one bus from Contemporary to, I don't know, Hollywood Studios, for example. So it will make 2 resort stops. So just be aware of that. But I mean, I don't know. I guess in the beginning of the day when you really want to get to a park, that extra stop kind of feels annoying. But sometimes just like sitting in an air-conditioned bus after a hot park day is like not the most terrible. I once was talking to this family in line at Jungle Cruise who said they were staying at Wilderness Lodge. And I was like, oh my God, you get to take the boat every day. And they didn't know about the boat at all. And that really made me sad. They had rented a car and they were driving from Wilderness Lodge to Magic Kingdom. That is terrible. And I was really sad for them that they weren't given better advice from cast members or their travel agent or whatever. They weren't American. So just a reminder to always talk to cast members about your transportation options, because there might be a transportation option that is even more convenient than you think. Now, last year, I covered all of the value and moderate resorts in a series over July and August. I actually was just reminded of like a Facebook memory of like this time last year, you did an episode on Pop Century. And I was like, oh, I love Pop. I love Wilderness Lodge as well. And so when I did those episodes, I tried to be really careful and organized about the information that I provided in what order. And in this deluxe series, I have just kind of done a bit of a walkthrough, which I've enjoyed a little bit more because it really, I don't know, I've been enjoying this kind of walk through the different resorts as a way to talk about them rather than like strict categories. But when I was doing this particular episode, I wasn't sure if I should start as a walkthrough from the boat or if I should start as a walkthrough from the front door of the resort. So if you're staying at the resort and you are taking a Lyft or an Uber or Mears or a rental car from the airport to Wilderness Lodge, then you're going to enter in the front door. But if you were just visiting Wilderness Lodge for a couple hours or whatever, then you would be taking the boat from Magic Kingdom. And these two entryways are completely opposite from each other, right? Like when you walk into Wilderness Lodge, technically, if there was nothing in front of you, you'd be able to see straight through to the lake. But when you are coming from the lake, you are as far away from the lobby as you can be. So I've been thinking about this a lot. And you know what? I'm going to start with the boat entryway because I hope that these episodes really help people who want to just go visit these resorts, not necessarily stay at them. And so I thought it would be a really fun way to actually begin at the back of the resort and pretend that you're coming from Magic Kingdom via boat. And then I will talk about the walkthrough through there. Okay, so let's start right at the boat, right at Magic Kingdom. So when you are leaving Magic Kingdom, you can go left towards the resort buses. You can go right towards the monorail. Or if you look pretty much directly in front of you, you will see a boat launch. And that boat launch has two different docks, two different lines. Well, the lines are correct. Two different lines for two different boats. One goes to Fort Wilderness and the other one goes to Wilderness Lodge. Fort Wilderness is a very old school type of resort option for Disney. It has camping, it has cabins, and it will soon have a brand new tower that I have a lot of feels about because I've spent the last couple summers at Fort Wilderness in their cabins for my birthday. I'm not doing that this year, and it's changing a lot, and I don't know. It's a really, really cool place. I've talked about it a lot on the podcast. I'm going to mention it a little bit more in this episode. So one goes to Fort Wilderness, the other one goes to Wilderness Lodge. If you get confused about which one is which, of course, talk to the cast member. You can say to the cast member, like, I want to go to the hotel one or the deluxe one or the one with more food options. And hopefully they tell you to go to Wilderness Lodge. Another way to think about it is Fort Wilderness, like the word fort, signifies that it is more rustic than lodge, which is a deluxe type word. There is another boat launch kind of to the right of this boat launch, and that goes to Polynesian and Grand Floridian. That one is a little bit closer to the monorail, so again, just ask, but it is quite clear. It's really directly in front of you when you're leaving Magic Kingdom. So again, make sure you ask, but it's very easy to get to. And of course, don't worry that someone's going to be like, oh, are you staying there? Because this is only for people who are staying there. No, the deluxe resorts, here's the thing about the deluxe resorts, which is why I'm glad you wanted me to do this series, because the deluxe resorts has the most food options than any of the other resorts on Disney property, and they want you to go to these resorts. Even if you're staying at All-Star Sports, which is traditionally the cheapest hotel, because they want you to go, well, first they want you to spend money wherever you want, but Disney also wants you to see like how the other half live. They want you to see what it's like at a deluxe resort to entice you to maybe save up and go there yourself. So don't worry that you're not staying there. You can still take that boat right on over and go and explore and look around and eat something. And so again, just ask a cast member. They'll get you on that boat. When you take that boat trip over to Wilderness Lodge, if you have a good captain, they might identify some other elements of like the different locks and things like that around Bay Lake, like some of the engineering stuff they did around Bay Lake and Magic Kingdom and that property. And so hopefully you do get someone who wants to tell you some fun facts about all of that. I think it's pretty cool. And again, I love a Disney boat, and I love that area in particular of the like the Disney boat routes, because it really is so old school Disney, right? It's so old school with looking right at Bay Lake, which is a natural lake, by the way. Seven Seas Lagoon is a human-made lake that they had to empty out all of that land in order to make Magic Kingdom. That's for another episode if that is new information to you. But for Bay Lake, that is a natural lake. So you arrive at the boat dock at Wilderness Lodge, and it will take you immediately on this like wooden path through a very small little nature grove. It's kind of funny because it does feel like the Pacific Northwest, but it also feels very much like Florida swampland, which it is. But this is like a first signal to you that this is going to be a different type of resort. When you walk along that boardwalk, the first thing that you are going to see is the pool. Now, there's a couple other things I want to talk about around the pool, but we're going to do a walkthrough. So we're going to walk up to the lobby. I'm going to talk about things and then come back down to the pool. So don't worry, there's things I'm going to talk about related to the pool. But first, I just want to flag that you're going to see the pool. There are only 2 pools at Wilderness Lodge. I do think that I do think that the deluxe resorts don't really have enough pools for the amount of rooms they have. Wilderness Lodge pool is really cool because it feels very like immersive. There's some really cool features. There's a water slide, but every time I've walked past it, because I've never swam in it, because I've never stayed at Wilderness Lodge, but every time I've walked past it, I just think, my God, that is so busy. So as a solo, it has not been attractive or appealing to me to stay at Wilderness Lodge for the pools, because the pool is just packed full of families and kids, which is great for them. Like have fun, have so much fun. But as a solo, I just really want to have like a little area where I can just kind of just bob around, and it just doesn't feel like you can do that at that pool, especially not like in, midday, hot. I'm sure there are times where it feels like that, but it doesn't feel like that any time that I have walked past it. There is one other pool at Wilderness Lodge, but that pool actually has a swipe. It's a DVC pool, so I'm not actually even sure if regular guests can swim in that pool or if you have to be staying in the DVC rooms to use that pool. It is not as busy as the main pool, but it also just, I don't know, it doesn't feel super appealing. If you are a solo who is planning on going to Walt Disney World and you want a lot of pool time, then definitely go to a moderate resort, because they have all of these quiet pools that are kind of tucked away and hidden and very quiet, and they are the best places to go and just kind of sit in the pools. So I wish there were more pools around this deluxe resort to be able to go and stay and relax, but there just isn't. So you get off the boat, you see the pool, and you're going to walk past the pool going towards the main building. The first entryway that you are going to see going into the main building, you'll see some outdoor seating, which is really nice, and then you're going to walk in and you're going to see their quick service restaurant. And the quick service restaurant is called the Roaring Fork. Now, if you are used to value and moderate resorts, then these quick service dining in this particular, in any of the deluxe resorts, is often quite small in comparison to what you'll see in the value and the moderate resorts. But a lot of the quick service restaurants will have menu items that reflect the theme of the hotel. So you can go and hang out, like you can go from Magic Kingdom to the Roaring Fork quick service dining and order like a pulled pork sandwich or a smoked sausage or a vegetarian zesty coleslaw burger to kind of pick up on the cowboy barbecue theme of this particular resort. This resort quick service also has some fun cupcakes and things like that, which I got last year. There's also a place that you can get coffee. It's not that large. It has some really cool things to go and check out, especially if you're into desserts. And just be patient if you're there during a really busy time, because I have been there during a very busy time to just kind of grab a coffee and a dessert, and it felt very chaotic, but as always, it's just best to stay patient and friendly and appreciative to the cast members, and then it gets you through much easier. So walking into those doors from outside, you're going to see the Roaring Fork, and you're also going to see a ramp, like an escalated ramp, not an escalator, but just an elevated ramp. And if you go up this ramp, you're going to see on the right the Artist Point restaurant. The Artist Point restaurant is a signature dining restaurant that was part of the opening of this particular resort. It was arts and crafts themed, like the arts and crafts movement, not like doing arts and crafts at home. The arts and crafts movement, and it had some really beautiful glass that was reminiscent of Frank Lloyd Wright, and there was a tree that was inside, and there's a beautiful like ceiling. It was just a really, really gorgeous restaurant. And again, it was a signature dining restaurant. I'm using past tense for all of this because I don't think that signature dining restaurant got a lot of traffic. And so they have changed it from a signature dining restaurant to a character dining restaurant. What is really awesome about this character dining restaurant is that they haven't changed any of the inside. So you can go in and see this beautiful design of this restaurant while you are having dinner with Snow White, Grumpy, Dopey, and getting an invitation from the Evil Queen to go and get a photograph with her. So this restaurant has become quite popular over the last couple of years because of this character dining restaurant experience. I have heard people say really nothing but good things about this restaurant. And I have seen a lot of solos talk really, really highly about this character dining experience as well. And I think it's because it is in this more sophisticated atmosphere of this former signature restaurant. And so it really does feel like a very enchanted type of space to go and have a meal. Now, I have talked about this particular meal a few times. I've been there a few times, and there's just a problem with the temperature of the food. I don't know what to say. I have often sent it back, and it comes back the exact same temperature. So look, if you are a real stickler about very, very hot food, then just kind of put that criticism away if you really want to go and eat with Snow White, because it is worth it. It is definitely worth it as a restaurant to go to. There are some really cool props, for lack of a better word, as part of your dining experience. And even when you are solo, you are still given those props. So sometimes I've gone for high tea solo, and if you have ever been for high tea, you know that they'll often give you like a tiered thing where they have the sandwiches and the scones and the desserts and all of that, and you pick what you want and you eat and all that stuff. I've been to high teas solo, and they just give you like a plate of stuff. Like, they don't give you the tiered tower, and that's always like, oh no, I'm still paying for the whole experience. So at this restaurant, they are still giving you all the props that go with your meal, so it's not like you have a lesser experience if you are there solo. The interactions with the characters, in my opinion, have been really, really great. The restaurant can feel a little cramped when the characters are coming around, but to me it has always felt that means that your interactions with them feel very intimate, and then they kind of move on. So it's kind of a really great character dining experience if you are into that. Like a lot of the character dining experiences as well, there are kind of interruptions every, I don't know, maybe 45 minutes where they do a little dance and they sing and they kind of move around the dining room. I often think of this as a signal for a shift change for the characters who have the big heavy costumes, because they'll disappear for a few minutes and then come back right after that. So just know that there's that. I don't like those as a solo, or even just as an adult when I've gone with other people, I don't know, but I just ignore them and just keep eating and then move on. The evil queen doesn't come around to the tables. She has a place so you can go and take photos, and you have to be invited up. Now, I've been to this restaurant a few times, and I should say I have never waited to be invited up. So that means I've never actually got to meet the evil queen. It hasn't detracted from my experience, but just, it's kind of optional, I guess. Adjacent to the Artist Point restaurant is the Territory Lounge, which is a bar, a pretty standard bar. It opens at 4 p.m. I had a bartender here once go when I've been here with my mother, go and get a coffee from Roaring Lounge for her. Oh my God, that is so cringe even to say that. And I tipped her very well because cast members are awesome and traveling with others isn't always. This lounge does have a menu of food that sounds really great. I've never eaten in there. I don't know, the lounge itself doesn't feel like a place I'd want to hang out. There are some other places at Wilderness Lodge that I would love to hang out, but they have some really kind of cool things. They have a smoked trout dip. They have a loaded macaroni and cheese. They have a loaded potato flatbread. And I should say, actually, I have had that loaded potato flatbread because this deluxe resort does a painting, like a painting on a board activity. I've posted pictures about it. I'll do that again when this episode goes out. And one of the things that you get in that activity is some food and drink, and loaded flatbread was one of them. Now, it does have bacon on it, but I requested no bacon, so I got my own, and it was great. It was such a great day. Once you pass this lounge, you then get into the bottom of this very, very grand lobby. And before I talk about that, I want to talk about one more food option that is in this area. So right at the front of the lobby, so near the front door, there's one other restaurant, and it's the Whispering Canyon Cafe. And it's a restaurant that I have booked to go to, but always have canceled my booking. So it's still on the list of places to go to. And it is a family style restaurant that is skillet based. I think I've canceled it because I'm not really into skillet based food. Like, I don't eat a lot of meat. So I feel like there would be a lot of things that I just wouldn't be eating on the skillet. But it's all you care to enjoy. Again, it's family style, which means it's a big platter of food. And if you were there with a family, they would just keep bringing you all of the food that you want because you're sharing in the middle. Because you're there solo, you get all that food and you get as much of that food as you want. But it's not like you were there with a family and some people are going to take more mashed potatoes and some people are going to take more ribs and things like that. So I've talked in this podcast about how family style meals aren't the best for solos. One exception is the Diamond Horseshoe, and I can't think of the other restaurant right now, but it's right next to the Diamond Horseshoe because it's the exact same. Matt Richardson told me that it was a good one for solos because they just bring you a plate, and he was right. I enjoyed it immensely. So this one is also a family style restaurant. Now, I think also I've seen from social media that this restaurant also has a bit of like 1950s primetime cafe feel in that the servers will often like joke around and play with you. And so I think that's another reason why I have hesitated going to this restaurant, because I don't want to kind of be caught in something I'm not aware of. But I've passed this restaurant and I don't hear because it's open to the lobby, and I don't hear the servers teasing people. So and as always, cast members are fantastic. So I'm sure they will kind of like recognize if you don't want to participate, but you can also just tell them you don't want to participate. So this restaurant is open for brunch and for dinner. There is the all-you-can-eat signature skillets, but they also have just regular a la carte menu items as well. So you can kind of choose one or the other. And I don't know, I think it is kind of a fun place to go and check out. It's still on my list of places to check out. I just haven't been super excited to make that happen. Okay, but now we're at the front of the lobby. We are close to the front doors. You can see some of the cast members who wear like old school park ranger, like from Looney Tunes. I know that's a different thing, but like from Looney Tunes cartoons with like the big hat and everything. And when you're at the front doors, you look up to this gorgeous lobby with all of these wood elements. You see fireplaces, you see totem poles from different nations in the Pacific Northwest, and you have this gorgeous window that faces the lake, but also you might be able to hear a stream running through the lobby, because there is a stream running through the lobby that goes directly outside. It is really breathtaking. Now, I will say, though, that it also is very similar to Animal Kingdom Lodge. I spent time at Animal Kingdom Lodge first, and then I came over to Wilderness Lodge, and I thought to myself, oh, it's the same setup, just wilderness themed, a North American Pacific Northwest theme, rather than the continent of Africa themed. So there are so many amazing details, but if you are familiar with Animal Kingdom Lodge, you might be like, oh, this is familiar. This is familiar. Now, if you've been listening to this series, you might remember me talk about the fact that the hotels at Disney are so well curated and planned and have so much story elements and are really like layered with all these different museological, curated narrative elements, and that it is missing, though, what all of these elements are. You just don't see them, and people don't know, like cast members don't know to give you information. Well, Wilderness Lodge is a giant exception to that. It is kind of weird how much information that Wilderness Lodge has for the public in relationship to its design, its narration, its storyline, all of that stuff, in comparison to the other Disney hotels. So I'm not saying there's anything wrong with the amount of information that Wilderness Lodge has. I'm saying I wish all the hotels had this much information, because it really is a respect to all of the planning and the artists and artisans and craftspeople who went into developing the new elements, but also the elements that are historical that they have brought into this particular hotel. So Wilderness Lodge is full of them. So full of them, in fact, that every single day at 9 a.m. you can go to the lobby and get an hour-long tour of the hotel that identifies all the different elements of this particular hotel and tells the story, etc., etc. You do not need to be staying at this hotel for you to join this tour. It's completely free. And like I said, it runs every day. Now, as someone who's not a morning person, to get to a hotel that is not mine by 9 is not something that I have ever really super been interested in doing. That's not true. I'm interested in doing it. It's just not feasible for it to get done. So it is definitely something on my list of things to do. I definitely want to do this tour. I just wish it was like at 10 or at 4, or if I was staying at Wilderness Lodge. And so if I was ever staying at Wilderness Lodge, it would be something I would do right away. If you are a guest staying at this hotel, back in the day when you checked in, they used to give you an old-timey newspaper that they created for this particular hotel that provided information about the history of the hotel, the histories behind the narration of the hotel, the storylines of the hotel, and information about the different items that you can see in the lobby and through the hotel. They don't give you this old-fashioned newspaper anymore, but they do give you an information packet when you check in if you are interested in this history. And again, it is this huge, huge storyline. It's a storyline about the railroad and about national parks and about the geology, about indigenous people, about it's this huge, huge story, and I'm not going to go into all the elements right now, but you can find some of these stories online, and Again, it's so wonderful that this information is available to you. I just wish it was available at other resorts. So I'll just give you some kind of big picture items. This hotel was modeled after old school national park lodges like Yellowstone's Old Faithful Inn. And they really wanted to pick up on that storyline, both historically and through environment and geology. So again, there is a stream or a spring that is in the lobby of the hotel. It flows through the end of the lobby and it goes right outside. This outside stream continues, so it looks like it's part of the pool, and then it ends right close to Bay Lake with a geyser that it's called Fire Rock Geyser. It erupts hourly, and it again is supposed to mimic Old Faithful, which is cool. When you're in the lobby, you're also going to just see these giant logs they're using to furnish the inside of the lobby. And these were actually harvested from standing dead forest. So they weren't cutting down any new trees. They brought 85 truckloads over from Oregon and Montana to build this beautiful, beautiful lobby. You'll also see some totem poles in the lobby. Those totem poles were created when the hotel was created in 1994, and they were created by Eagle Clan and Raven Clan artists and artisans. You can find out information about these again when you are in the lobby, but go and take a look. You're also going to see a fireplace in the lobby, and it just totally makes sense even though you're in Florida. And it's really just breathtaking. Now, if you are not staying there and if you were there after 9 a.m., I'm sure you can also get a lot of the information of the backstory of the hotel by talking to cast members. So again, right at the front door, there's often a cast member wearing their little like old school ranger hat. And I just feel every time I look at those guys, every time I've seen them, they have been men that they are just dying to tell you information. So feel free to go and ask them. But you can also just talk to the cast members at the reception desk to see if you can get like the brochure, even if you're not staying there, or to get some fun facts. So definitely go and check it out. It's really quite beautiful how much information and history and story is built into this hotel. And this is why it's a great place to go solo. If you are there with family and friends and, you know, they might not be there to really appreciate all these different elements. But if those are elements that are beautiful and interesting to you, then when you're there solo, you can just kind of sit in the lobby and take it all in. And that's just such a wonderful, wonderful thing about traveling solo to Disney World, that there are all these places that you can do that. The other thing you might hear about Wilderness Lodge is the train room. So we're going to go to the train room. We're going to do a little walk to the train room. And the train room is in part of the DVC buildings. So when I went to go see the train room, I was kind of nervous about asking a cast member where it was, because I didn't want them to be like, well, that's really just for DVC members only. If you're, really quick, I'll let you see it. But no, the cast member, the guy with the big hat, he was like, oh, this is where it is. And he just pointed to it and there was no issue. So again, please do not feel intimidated or scared to go to these places, even if you're not staying there. They are there for people to see. Now, I have always called it the train room. I've heard other people on social media call it the train room. It's officially called the Carol Ward Pacific Room, and it is a tribute to Walt's love of trains. In fact, in the train room, there is an actual train that Walt had in his backyard. And so it is, if you are into trains and you are into Walt Disney history, then it is a place to go. So if you are at the lobby, you are going to exit out the front door or the side door. There's a side door there, like you're going towards the buses. But you're going to kind of keep walking and you're going to go towards DVC. And if I remember correctly, you're going to pass the gym, which is called the Sturdy Branches Health Club. Now, I've never been to that gym either, but it looks like it's like a more modern gym than what the pictures of the Contemporary Resort gym looks like. So again, I will let you know what that's like. You are walking towards the Builder Ridge Villas DVC building. And again, just ask a cast member if you aren't quite sure which way to go. And in that building is where the Carol Ward Pacific train room is. And let me tell you, if you are not into trains, it was a little anticlimactic. I don't know what I was expecting to see, but I don't know. I was like, oh, okay. I don't know. I was unimpressed. I mean, I was glad I got to see it because people talk about it a lot, but I don't know. I wasn't overly blown over. They did have some construction outside the door and the windows where the room was, so maybe that was part of it, but I don't know. What was far more impressive to me was right on the other side of this room, like in kind of the lobby of this particular building, was this gorgeous, like, birdhouse and a fireplace. I don't know. I just found that way, way more impressive. That's my own kind of aesthetic and interest, but it reminded me of how great it is to walk around these different places because there are just so many cool things. So go for the trains, stay for the birdhouse. I don't know. What was really cool was that there are quite a few people. I didn't get to take a lot of pictures. I mean, I wasn't overly inspired to take pictures anyway, but I wasn't able to take a lot of pictures because there were so many people who were working on their laptops there. So that's also a nice kind of sneaky place to go and work if you are, quote, working from home while you're at Walt Disney World. All right, so we are going to go back into the lobby and we are now going to exit back towards the pool. Now, on the other side of the pool from where you came in on the boat, there is a Geyser Point bar and grill. And this is something I want to make sure that you know about, Solos. This is a delicious outdoor bar. Like, here's the thing about Florida. We all, like, anyone love the Florida heat, Florida humidity, especially in the summer? No, right? It's always just a little too hot. But sometimes inside can be a little too cold. So this is actually an outdoor restaurant that's fully shaded. They have like the fans going, so there's always a nice breeze. It's kind of perfect. It's right on Bay Lake, and it has a delicious menu. And I highly, highly recommend going here solo. Because it's a bar and a grill, it does feel a little bit more adult. There are fewer kind of children running around because they're close to the pool, like they're at the pool instead. And this restaurant also has a like to go, like a mobile order to go. So if you are a family and you have, kids running around, I can imagine that the to go option is much more appealing than sitting in a restaurant. So the kids can eat a couple of French fries and then jump back in the pool. So this restaurant is open from 11 to 11. I have heard that the atmosphere at night can be really great. I have never been there at night. I've only been there midday. But if you are, looking for some people to hang out with and drink with, I'm sure this is a great place to meet people. There is reserved seating, but every time I've been, it's practically been empty. Again, I've gone like midday, like after lunch. So you don't really need a reservation. There's also bar seating, which means that you can kind of skip the whole reservation system to begin with. This has really, really great food. You can get a full menu of a crispy chicken sandwich and barbecue ribs and salads and things like that. But you also can get some like appetizers, like tapas style small bites, like chicken wings and these delicious shrimp that I had, crab cakes, meatballs, all of that stuff. So it's definitely a really great place to go and check out. But here's the thing. This is why I was saying that if you're going solo, this may or may not be a really great option for you because it really is so serene. You're right on the water. When I've gone, like I said, it hasn't been super busy. So I've been able just to just have this like little moment of relaxation in like a busy Magic Kingdom day, and I have really, really loved it. But maybe you don't want your energy to go away. And so in that case, this might not be a great place for you, but definitely go check out the menu to see if it is worth going to visit. And at the very least, take the boat over from Magic Kingdom, walk through the hotel like I suggested, go take a look at the lobby, then come back down past the pool and go here and just get a drink. It can be an alcoholic drink, it can be a non-alcoholic drink. Go and just appreciate how beautiful this particular vista is, right? Now, one other thing I wanted to say about Wilderness Lodge, especially related to the water, before we go over to Lauren and her solo story about staying at Wilderness Lodge, is that in the afternoons after 3 or 4 p.m., there is not only a boat to Magic Kingdom, which runs all day, there is also a boat that goes to Fort Wilderness and to Contemporary Resort. So in the evenings, there is a second boat line that goes Fort Wilderness, Contemporary, and Wilderness Lodge in that little kind of triangle. There's also a bus route just where the rest of the buses are to go to the other parks. There's also a bus route that runs all day, every day, that goes directly to Fort Wilderness. There used to be a path that you could walk between Wilderness Lodge and Fort Wilderness. It's been closed for quite a few years now. It might reopen when the new Wilderness Lodge tower opens up or the Fort Wilderness DVC tower opens up. We shall see. But the reason why I wanted to flag that you can get to Fort Wilderness by the boat in the afternoon or the bus all day is because where those transportation options are going to drop you is right like on the beach if you take the boat, or in one of the 2 bus bays at Fort Wilderness. Now, if there's a lot I can say about Fort Wilderness, I want to just highlight a couple things. If you take the bus, it's going to take you right in front of the Triple C stable. There are 2 stables at Fort Wilderness, and the new one, the fancy one, the big one, the ones that you can walk around, that is directly where those buses are. So if you're staying at Wilderness Lodge or you're just going for the day and you're into horses, then go take the boat or the bus. The bus is just a little shorter of a walk over to Fort Wilderness, and then you can see the stable that's right there. That bus is also right next to the Hoop-Dee-Doo musical review if you're interested in that. If you are taking the boat, you are like, I don't know, you're just like 5 minutes more away by walking. When you get dropped off at the dock, you're going to see a couple buildings, and just on the other side of that building is where the buses are and where the stable is. But I do just want to flag too that there is a quick service restaurant here where you can get barbecue, and there's also a lounge that's open in the evenings called Crockett's Lounge, and that food is also really, really delicious. And there's, I don't know, I just think Fort Wilderness is like a really special place right on the water there. And so if you're going and walking around Wilderness Lodge or you're staying there, go check out Fort Wilderness as well. Go check it out by boat, go check it out by bus. And again, you get to see horses. There's some food options. There's some other things happening there. There's like a free camp fire sing-along with Chip and Dale every single night. But I won't talk about that now. Let's, however, talk about what it's like to stay at Wilderness Lodge. And we're going to go over to Lauren, who, like I said, you have met on this podcast before. And I have met in real life at Disney World, which was really, really exciting. And we can hear about what it was like for her to stay at Wilderness Lodge. Remember, if you are a Patreon member, you can watch our conversation with some of the other things that didn't make it into this episode over there. So go check that out. And now let's go over and talk to Lauren. Bye. Hello. Okay, I feel like Lauren is like a special guest star on the Disney Solo Magic podcast. This is her 3rd time having a solo story. We also met in person. She's recommended things. We're going to try to meet up again. And I'm really excited to talk with her. Hi, Lauren.
Hello again.
I can't wait to talk with you because when we met, you talked about your stay here and how it was one of your favorites. And you have a bit of a YouTube channel, so I know that you've done some video stuff. So I think it's just going to be a great compliment. Thank you for agreeing again to talk about your solo stays.
Thanks. And now that you're doing video recording, I dressed up.
Also, everyone who's watching can also see the Lego castle in the back there. That's
She's so big and pretty.
nice. Lauren, I feel like we talked right before I started recording the solo stories for video, because when we talked before, you were full on Figment. And I remember
It
being
was.
like, I just feel like I should use these videos. How can I do them without editing them? So I'm so glad you came in costume, not costume, but like an outfit today.
Oh no, it's a costume. Even when I stayed there, I think I wore this flannel because if I can, I love a theme.
Yeah,
So if I
me
can theme
too.
my outfit to the hotel, I went with I know it's Yoda, so obviously it's not like
Can you
Chippendale
tell
Wilderness, but
is it
It's it's a
Oh,
Yoda flannel, do
yes.
or do not. But I'm like flannel, right?
Flannel
Wilderness Lodge,
worked.
flannel.
Yes,
So
I didn't
yeah,
even see the Yoda, but I do see the lightsabers behind you.
yeah. I almost turned them on for like mood lighting, but they're really loud.
Oh, I also changed into my Mickey cowboy dress that also has a little chip pin.
Look,
And I
so
got this
cute.
for Fort Wilderness. And I did buy a cupcake at Wilderness Lodge in this dress. So I also
I
am.
also had a cupcake at Wilderness Lodge. So
What
good.
kind of cupcake did you have?
Campfire cupcake.
Me too. Well, how did you enjoy it?
I did. I ate it in my room at my chair with my little table, and I was very happy.
Yeah, I ate mine watching Bay Lake from Fort Wilderness. I brought it over there, and there's a lot of pictures of me just like holding how beautiful it is, the
And it
campfire.
was. There was a little campfire with like a marshmallow, and it was toasted. It was so nice.
And sometimes cupcakes that have a lot of frosting, that frosting is just like crap. Like it's just dense and but this was like quite light and lovely.
I did not hate. I'm usually a cake over frosting kind of girl.
Yeah.
I think I ate the frosting.
Yeah.
I didn't hate it.
No, it was great. And there was also a special surprise inside.
We won't spoil that.
Okay.
You'll have to get
But
your own
no.
cupcake and find out.
Okay, so we're talking about Wilderness Lodge today, and it's really great. Thank you so much for agreeing to talk about it because you've mentioned it on your own social media, and you mentioned it, I feel like, when we met too, because of how much you like staying there. So I feel like we should preface this conversation by saying that you, quote, work from home from Disney every once in a while. Like you'll go to Disney and work in the hotel rooms. And so I think this is like an extra good episode to mention that and talk about your experiences doing that because of how much you enjoyed Wilderness Lodge for that very thing.
Well, I did not work on this trip.
Oh, okay. Well, then I was completely wrong.
But, right, because I do, like I work from Disney fairly often, although my trips this year, for whatever reason, I'm taking a lot of PTO because I'm doing a lot of parties. But this was for my birthday. And so I took like a full week off and I'm like, I'm not going to work this time. But every time I go somewhere, I check out, like, could I work from this room? Would
Right.
this table work for me? And so for a work from your hotel room, I have lots of thoughts
Yes.
at
Okay. So maybe
Wilderness
that's
Lodge.
why I had I had thought in my mind, like I felt like we talked about this. So okay, let's talk about
I
it
think we
again.
did.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
So Wilderness Lodge, tell us about your stay, your solo
Okay.
stay.
So it was in January.
Hmm.
It was the same week where I think, what was the city? Um, one of the cities up north got like 7 inches of snow. It was literally freezing cold. Um, I still spent a lot of time outside walking around. So anytime I like to go to a new resort that I've never been to, if I can, I like to spend at least a full day at the resort and try to do as much stuff as they can, explore it, take pictures everywhere. So at this one, I walked all around the outside. If there's multiple levels, I walked up and down every floor. Like I checked out all of the stuff that was in the main lodge. I went to the DVC tower and I saw what was going on in there. Um, so it was freezing cold, but it was beautiful, totally beautiful.
Yeah, well, I mean, Wilderness Lodge, it is themed to like the American Northwest. So I feel like it's already, if it's cold, you're like, well, that kind of makes sense. There is a fire in the fireplace in the lobby.
I do have to say, biggest gripe, that fire puts out zero heat. It is vibes
Mm.
only. So
That's a.
I think only in the summer it's going to run. There is up on the second or third floor, towards what would be the front of it. There's like this little nook, and I saw some people that were sitting there, and I've heard other people will go and they'll work from there. You can read a book there, and you've got like a couple of leather chairs, and you've got your own little private fireplace.
Oh, that's
So at
nice.
least it's closer. They didn't, I didn't want to like ruin their vibe that was going on. So I didn't like go right up to see if you could actually feel the heat from that one. But at least it'll give you better cozy vibes.
Well, there's also a fire in the DVC little lounge area, which people can go
Hmm.
into even if you're not DVC. And I guess I was there well last year. in August, and this is going to go out in July, and I'm just thinking like I don't think I even pretended to get close enough because I was like I don't need any more heat. So other
I
people can let
did.
us know if those other ones do admit heat. But they look like
I
real
stood in front of
fires.
it's gas. It is gas
Mhm.
fire, but I don't think it's I don't know. Maybe it's not the good gas. There was just not a lot of heat. And I got as close to it as you could because I was cold and I got nothing.
Well, in July,
It's
if
pretty though.
yeah, in July you'd be like, "Ooh, why is there heat here?"
Vibes.
Yeah,
Just
vibes.
the
That's
vibes.
totally
Yeah.
fine. And what kind of room did you stay in on that trip?
I did not get a DVC room this time. I got a normal room. It was standard. I don't even think I asked for a special view king.
Mm-hmm.
And so if you're looking like if you go on the My Disney Experience app and you go, it kind of branches out. So if you're looking at it from top down, I'm at the far end of the left. So I'm kind of, it looks like it's far away.
Right.
And I was down on the first floor, but it was facing like the waterfall. There's a waterfall. Okay. So it was facing the waterfall in the pool from my standard room.
That's
And it was
amazing.
great.
Was it
Zero complaints.
did it feel loud and busy since it was on the first floor by the pool?
I don't think I don't think it well, it was also January, so it was ice
Oh, that's
cold.
true.
Nobody was outside. Um, when I was at Poly, that room also faced the pool, and I didn't really hear anything when I was there. So
Yeah.
my guess is the soundproofing is actually pretty good.
Yeah. It's I don't mind the noise of the pool because it's like fun noise, it's just when it's like frantic, busy, loud, obnoxious noise that I'm just like, eh. But
I
when
like to
it's
go to
like,
bed early, so I wouldn't want like a bunch of people at like 9 or 10 o'clock, like jumping in and out of the pool and running around. But I
yeah.
don't think I would have minded.
And did you have like a balcony?
No, it did have well, I guess on the first floor, it's more of like a patio.
Yeah,
There was a little table and there were a couple of chairs. I believe I did not go out there. It was too cold. There was
too
no going
cold.
out there. Yeah.
Right. And how did the room compare to your experience in the moderate resorts or the value?
Um, so I was watching another video from somebody else on YouTube who was doing a review of a hotel that I will be staying at, and they mentioned that they were staying at a club room, and the linens and the mattress and the pillows were all exactly the same. So keep in mind when you're staying at sports, you get the same mattress, pillow, and linens as somebody that is staying at a moderate resort, at a deluxe resort. That's the same. Everywhere I've been, that's the same. But of course, the bed is comfortable. The sheets are great. It was a beautiful, that's part of the reason why I like it. It's the prettiest room I've been in so
Oh, that's
far.
so nice.
I love this room like so much. I looked at the pictures and video the other day. I'm like, I want to recreate the wallpaper thing that they have that looks like you're in a stylized forest. And in the bathroom, there's a wall between the bathroom and the room, but there's this panel that's like glass
Mm-hmm.
and a light shines through it. And they have this sticker on it that looks like agate. I think it's actual agate, and light shines through it. So you have this lit up rock. It's beautiful.
That's so amazing. Because I was going to ask you, like, was it the most beautiful room because of your own aesthetic or just because, like, the design of it? Because both of those things are like so
It's kind
super
of
valid
it's kind of both. Like trying to think of where else I've stayed. The Grand Californian, to me, it was better
at Disneyland.
at Disneyland. It was better. I think it was better styled and themed than the Californian was. That for me was in 2019. And
Hmm.
then I stayed at the Disneyland Hotel. I was in the DVC tower at that one. And I would say that the styling and just the look of the room, it felt nice. It felt nicer. The only equivalent so far that I can come up with, even with Polly, the other Polly was really good, but I don't know. Maybe it is partly aesthetics. It was very clean. I love a forest.
Yeah. Yep.
I love a forest, and that's part of the reason why I think this also works so well for me because it's style. Even though I've never been to the Northwest and I will,
Yes.
I think this is right up my alley too. And I love a waterfall, and it's just
And
I
you
could
know,
see it from my room.
it's like one of my bucket list places to stay. I can't remember who I was talking to, but she was like, "Oh, obviously the Polynesian bungalows like over the water." And I was like, "Right, yes, of course." But actually, my one of my bucket list places to stay is the Copper Creek Canyons.
Yes.
Copper Creek Canyons cabins, which you can see when the boat dock comes in because there is a hot tub. Like you're in the forest. It's a standalone cabin. There is in the forest and there's a hot tub that faces the water and I'm like that just looks like paradise.
Can you imagine being in your hot tub watching the pageant go by at like 8:30, 9 o'clock at night?
No,
Does
but
it
I
get
would
better
love
than
to.
that? No.
No, 100% not. Unless it would get better than that if there was a
If it was free.
well yeah, sure, but also a professional chef cooking because there's that big kitchen in those
Oh,
those bungalows too and I'm like, wow, that's definitely going to go to waste if it was me. Here's some toast.
yeah. Here's some quick service. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Okay, well, let's talk a little bit about food and quick service and things like that. So, because you stayed in a standard room, there was no microwave, there was a drink cooler, a little small fridge, things like that. No, there wasn't.
It's got the typical, you got your little coffee station, you've got
Yeah,
your little fridge, but it's not like at a DVC
right.
room. There's no mini kitchenette, there's no kitchen, there's nothing like that. So yeah.
Right. So I always think with the deluxe resorts, I always like wonder how things like breakfast or work or like snacks in the evening because the quick service restaurants are usually smaller. Sometimes they're out of the way. I wouldn't say that my thoughts of this quick service was out of the way. So what was that like in like the morning or getting a snack or even getting lunch?
So when I was on this trip, I resort hopped. So
Mm.
that morning I was at a different resort. I think I was staying at Pop or maybe one of the All Stars when I checked out, and I checked into this one. So I didn't have breakfast there. By the time I got here, I had, I think I may have gone to a park that morning. And then I get here and I'm walking around. Oh, I went to the park later because I took a boat.
Boat.
Another favorite thing about this, love a Disney boat.
Love a Disney boat.
Um, I did get a snack from there and I got it at night. And so I got the cupcake. And I did remember when I went in there, it's small. It's the smallest quick service spot that I've seen.
Mm-hmm.
And in the morning, okay, so it was very small. They have attached to it, there's a little hallway connecting it, and then attached to it is a small dining room. I I'm assuming that they think that most people that stay at a deluxe resort aren't going to be there, or maybe they're going to take their food to go. But so far, all of the deluxes I've been to, those are kind of small. This was the smallest one by far. So the next morning, I had pre-ordered, and then I just had to go and pick it up. It was crowded, and they were running behind.
Yes.
Crowded and running behind. I mean, the food was fine. They pulled in all of the staff that they could to try to help out, but that was not the best quick service experience I've had.
Yeah, I mean that's just my from an outsider's point of view. The value and moderate are just like there's going to be a lot of people. They're going to need a lot of food very quickly. And at the deluxe resorts, a lot of the quick service they don't seem like afterthoughts. They just seem like we don't expect people to use this.
I think it's just low on their priority list, yeah.
Yeah.
And they've got other restaurants and lots of other bars and stuff to go to. I think they prioritize those and think people would go to those more than just a little quick service.
Yeah. And that's why I ask about the breakfast because it's breakfast usually that you're like, okay, well, let's, get something while we're here and we don't need to spend a lot of money and all of that stuff. But there are some great restaurants. Did you go to any of those restaurants when you were staying at Wilderness Lodge or like in another trip? And what was your experience like?
Not for breakfast. So
Right.
when
No,
I
no,
was
not for
there,
breakfast.
I think it's not lunch. I went for dinner
So
to
she's
this
showing
place.
her Snow White postcard.
This is called Storybook Dining at Artist Point with Snow White. It's the longest name I think you could possibly have for
Okay,
a
although I
restaurant.
do just want to like flag that the way that your camera zoomed in was very dramatic when you did
Well,
that.
let's zoom in on the back, which I cannot control. So, oh,
Oh no,
that's
now
really
we're
bad.
zooming
I'm
in
so
on
sorry.
your castle.
I don't use Zoom. Oh, yeah, I don't use Zoom, so I don't know why that happened. But anytime you go to like a fancy restaurant, And there's character dining. I think they
Yes.
give you a little card.
Yeah, all of the character dining do that because some people have autograph books, but some people don't. So,
Hmm. Hmm.
yeah, it's a nice souvenir if I can imagine like kids being like, "But they're getting an extra thing." So now everyone gets the postcard.
My meal, I think, was better than yours. I've heard you have not had great experience here. I thought it was fine. I went solo, so I had a table by myself. I will say the table for two is a little small. They've got this giant tree thing with multi levels, and that's where they put the appetizers. And it takes up a lot of space on a little two-seater. It took up a lot of room. Luckily, it was just me, and so I could push it back, and that was fine. The food temperature was fine for me.
Okay,
Food
see,
temperature was fine for
I've
me.
enjoyed my meal. It's just the temperature.
It was, yes, the food. I will say the bisque probably could have been a little hotter,
Hotter.
except I hate mushroom bisque, so I did not care. I don't like mushrooms anyway. It was hot enough, and I took two bites and was done.
See,
Everything
okay.
else was good.
Okay, when you say that your meal was better than mine, it's because you just didn't eat the food. I think
Eat the food.
I think the problem is the actual bowl that the soup comes in does not hold in heat. I think that's actually the problem.
It would help. Some restaurants do this if they could keep the dishware hot.
Right,
So then you
yes.
put hot food in the hot dish, and then it keeps it hotter that way for longer. I don't remember what the dishes were. I don't remember if it was like
It's this
ceramic or
cool
stone or
little
something
it's
to
a
help.
weird fabrication. Like it looks like it's supposed to be like a rock or woods or something
That's
like that,
yes.
but it's not. And it doesn't feel like plastic. I'm sure it is a plastic. It's definitely not metal. It's not a ceramic. So I just think that the container doesn't hold heat. Anyway, it's
You're
fine. I
probably
enjoyed
right.
it. I highly recommend that restaurant, but don't expect hot soup.
The food all tasted good. I had some kind of a shank pork something. I don't know. He's the guy just like, this is what it is. You should try them. Okay,
Great.
sure. Why not? And it tasted good. It literally fell off the bone. Did not need a knife. So it was cooked really well. The dessert was really good. The evil queen, you get an invitation to meet her. Then you have to come up and get in line. And I just have to say, nobody paid her her due. When I went up to see her, I bowed and I said, Your Majesty. And she's like, Finally, someone with manners. I'm like, they're all rabble here. Pay no attention to them. The characters they're just so fun.
Yeah. Yes. So three characters come around, Snow White, Dopey, and Grumpy. And yeah,
Hmm.
and Lauren, I
Yeah.
remember when we met the first time, you were saying like that you were worried about the non-speaking characters as a solo adult because like had you interact with them, but I remember you told the story about like how they made it so easy for you. And I think that's such a good reminder that like that's their job to do that.
Dopey was the one I was worried about.
Yeah.
He literally says nothing in the animated film. What do you say to a character who says nothing? It was easier with Grumpy because he's grumpy and you can talk about how he needs his coffee. And I'm so sorry about Dopey being here. He's whatever. Um, but interacting with Snow and Grumpy later, Dopey came back around. And I'm like, hey, I need to tell you what Grumpy's. So it helped.
Yeah.
It
Yeah,
helped.
yeah. When I've been there a couple times. When I was there in 2019 with my mom, and my mom, this was like our first trip to Disney, and we've gone many times since. And so she wasn't really like in it. Like Snow White had come around and was like, "Do you want a picture?" And my mom's like, "No." She's like, "Okay." Walks away. But then like Dopey, because he's not a speaking character, my mom was just like eating, and then all of a sudden, like Dopey just shows up behind her and scared her. And I think that was like one of the things that really was like, oh, this is a magical experience. Like you just need to lean in to it. And the characters want you to interact with them in these ways. And it was, yeah, it's a really special spot, Artist Point, the Artist Point restaurant.
I thought it was beautiful. They had this tree, I think, in the middle, and then they have branches and then vines come off, and there were lights. There was a light show that
Yeah.
happened on the tree with it was beautiful. Restaurant wise, I think that's the prettiest. restaurant I've been to. Most, literally most magical restaurant I've been to.
Yes, it was just a regular signature dining, artist point signature dining for the longest time. And I think it was like too fancy and upscale. So they made it character dining, but they didn't change any of the inside. So now we get this beautifully artistic designed restaurant, which is so beautiful. Tell us about other things that you found in the hotel when you were like walking around and exploring that made
So
this one of your favorite hotels.
when I first checked in, um, like I said, I've stayed at the Grand Californian and this one, and there's another one. They're all built around basically the same style. And then they vary depending on whatever kind of, but they all have basically the same building. So it's grand, right? As soon as
Mm-hmm.
you walk in, it's just mind blowing. And every time I stay at a new place, I try to avoid seeing it and going there. So I'm wowed every time I go. And so I knew nothing about the building when I walked in. So it's covered in logs and it's just perfect. So I went to the check-in desk and she gave me this. So when you go, you get this little packet and it's a lot, 12 pages of information telling you about the building, the story of the building, the story of the logs that they use on the outside. It took 85 trucks to bring in all of those logs, and every single one of those logs was from a tree that was already dead.
Wow.
And so they have a special, like, green certification because of the resort that they're staying in. All of the trees that were inside the totems, everything, the trees were already dead. And the stuff that you see inside, they were trees that were hand carved by artisans and shipped from, I think, Oregon all the way out here. And it's covered in the main building is supposed to be like the arts and crafts, the craftsmen set when the Transcontinental Railroad was being built. And at these stops, you'd have this grand hotel. But as you go out to the other branches and even to like the special cabins, there's a theme with those. The furniture changes, the story kind of changes, and by the time you get to the cabins, those were originally supposed to be where the railroad was, and those are
Mm.
supposed to be where like the heads of the railroad would stay overnight. But by that point, when you get to there, the story is that the railroad was gone. So they've now been converted into these really nice places for other people to come and stay. So like there's little details all over the place that I didn't know about until I read this. Um, they have recreations of art from the Native American tribes. Not all of them, but there's several that are represented here. They don't have original pieces of art from them. They didn't want to take those away. So everything is either a recreation of an actual piece, and if it is, it's created by the tribes who made it.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, all of that information is
Like the
in
totem
here.
pole at the Canada Pavilion at Epcot as well.
Oh, that too. Oh, that's
Yeah.
nice.
Mm-hmm.
So they go into not the furniture. Where's the stuff? They have most of the information here is about like the headdresses. They go
Yeah,
into
I just
detail
for
about the
those of you who aren't
headdresses.
watching, like Lauren is going through this giant packet, like looking
Sorry.
at these. No, 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 it's totally fine. But it's so, I mean, I've talked about how the deluxe resorts have all this really, well, not just the deluxe resorts, all this such special curation. And I think Wilderness Lodge is the only one that really is like, guys, you want to hear our story? Like,
It I've been inside of Animal Kingdom, but I haven't stayed there. So I don't know if they have a packet like this, but when I stay at my next resort, I'm going to ask them, hey, do you have any packets, any information like Wilderness Lodge does? Because I really enjoyed, like I highlighted it. Like I really enjoyed having the
I loved
packet.
it. I love it. Okay, and one final question, because I don't want to keep you too long, but talk about what you thought of the room as like a work from home, a quote unquote work from your
Mm.
hotel room setup, because I know you think very highly of it. I was gonna say, like, you didn't do it yet, but you're like, I could do it. So could you talk a little bit about that for people who might want to do that as well?
So the room that I was in, pros for working, I was on the ground floor, so there's nobody stomping above me.
Mm-hmm.
It was at the end of the hall, so there weren't that many people that would be walking by all day long. Um, it has a proper desk with a chair. A lot of the rooms that I stay at, they might have a side table. It might be like at Pop, it's a bed you would have to, a Murphy bed you would pull down when it's up. There's a desk with a chair. It's fine, you know, but this one has an actual desk with like a real chair that swivels. So that would be kind of like an ideal work from Disney Place.
Yeah.
It was great. And it's right next to the wall that has the rock. So you can see the rock that's lit up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that's so nice. Yeah, I feel like the discipline to work from Disney is something I don't have. I just be like, you know what? No, we're just gonna do a vacation day. Lauren,
It
is there
saves me a
any?
lot of PTO.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Lauren, is there anything else you want people to know about staying at Wilderness Lodge as a solo that we didn't get a chance to talk about?
I will say that I think their mascot is kind of like Chippendale, which
Yeah.
is why people who are listening, I'm wearing a little Chippendale like ear set. Um, and at the front, I was only there for one day. At the front, they have this little game where they have these little Chippendale. It's like this little wooden carving that is stashed in different places throughout the hotel in the main lobby. So if you find it where it's stashed that day and you find it for 4 days, they'll give you a button with stickers on it. And then you can get your picture taken with this little thing you hold up saying, "Look, I did the Chippendale." So even though I was there for one day, they still gave me the button. And it's got a little Chippendale on it and four acorns because I would have found it the four times. So they still gave it to me anyway. Um, they have every floor has actual oh, what's the word? They have actual fossils.
Right? Yes.
You can go up to each table, and so if you want to just wander and be entertained, you can easily be entertained by reading all of the stuff. You can go to the DVC lounge where they have this whole room dedicated to Walt's love of trains. Two of the cars from his Carolwood Pacific that he had at his own house and part of the track are there. So if you like history, if you like Disney history, you can spend a day there and just soak it up and honestly not miss the parks. And transportation wise, they have a boat. There's no monorail, but you do have boats. The boats come back and forth all the time. It's a quick ride to and from. It's a
Magic
walk
Kingdom.
down.
So,
Sorry, yes, Magic
yeah.
Kingdom. It's a walk down this sort of long, like wooden pathway that winds in and out through the woods. At night, that can seem a little spooky. You are surrounded by trees. They have lights everywhere. And there are people coming and going. There were lots of kids, even though it was raining and cold, people were still there. So I was never like scared or worried. Not that I ever am at a Disney resort anyway,
Yeah.
but it's just, I love it.
I'm so glad.
I
It's so
just love
amazing
it.
because like that place like Fort Wilderness as well, but also like Animal Kingdom, you just feel like you're in a completely different world. And a friend of mine who lives in Vancouver, she's like, "Well, do you want to come visit the summer?" And I was like, "Oh, no." And then I would tell her about Wilderness Lodge and Fort Wilderness, and she's like, "But you can come to the Pacific Northwest and like visit me." And I was like, "Not the same."
Why
And
would I travel
it's
there when I could travel here
here.
and feel like I'm there? Yeah.
Yeah, and I just think it's just yeah, it's so cool that it's so different. Like the geography of it is so different to the rest of Disney. It can really just feel so separate, but you're so close to Magic Kingdom, which is amazing.
Trying to remember if you can see it. I don't think you can. You might be able to see some
No,
of the
you
fireworks,
can't see it
but I
because
don't
of the
think you
island.
can.
Yeah, no, no.
Yeah, you're right. You're
Yeah,
right. The island. Yeah. Forgot all about that.
yeah.
Ugh.
Well,
It's
Lauren,
the
it
most
was just
affordable of the
wonderful.
deluxes, too.
Pardon me, say it.
Of the deluxe resorts, it's the most affordable.
I think you can get rooms cheaper at Animal Kingdom, but it is definitely like of those
It's
Magic
at least
Kingdom
one of the
ones.
two.
Yeah,
Yeah.
of the Magic Kingdom ones, it's definitely the most affordable for sure. Yeah. Which is kind of great because like you also get the boat. I mean, like the
Yes.
monorail is cool, but it's always very busy. The boats are never that busy. Lauren, it was so great to see you and talk with you again. I can't wait till
Thank
we
you.
see each other in person again and
I
go outlet
know.
shopping.
Every time I go now and I think of you. I'm like, oh.
Yes.
I should take a picture and send it to her.
You should. You should. I mean, I would be like overwhelmed with jealousy. But and also be like, oh, can you just like personal shopper me like the people that just walk around the Disney outlet with their cameras?
Right.
But yeah, I can't wait to see you in person again, and we can talk more about all things hotels, which, as you know, I love. So thank you again.
Thank you.
Oh, wait, how can people get in touch with you? I mean, all the links are below, but quickly, how can people get in touch with you?
I am at Disney.days, Z-E or Z, if you're
Thank
Canadian,
you.
dot 55, pretty much everywhere.
Okay, great. And again, the links are below, all that stuff. Lauren was making some really beautiful videos for YouTube, so go check those out.
I'm hoping to have a room tour up of this and like a hotel tour of this by the time this comes up. Hopefully. No promises.
All right. Well, your iPad just zoomed in and out, and it was like that was an extra promise. No, it was just
I
like doing
didn't
his
do
thing.
that.
Yeah.
Okay. I did not do that. I don't use Zoom. Okay.
Yeah. Okay, well, until next time. Bye.
A big thanks to my special guest for talking about their experiences staying at this deluxe resort. If you want to support them as well as me, please make sure you follow us on our social media channels. The links to those are in the description below. You can also find a link to my Patreon. And in the Patreon, when you become a Patreon member, you can watch our conversation, the whole conversation of us talking. And I always find that that is a great way to just get even more enmeshed into the community of Disney adults and how wonderful it is to go to Disney solo. The Patreon membership is really affordable. It's about $1 a week for Americans and $1.25 a week for Canadians, and you get the videos from all the solo stories, reflections on each one of the episodes, as well as opportunities to vote on future episodes and a breakdown of all of the different upcoming episodes. There's also some bonus episodes that get thrown in every once in a while, and the more of you there are on Patreon, the more you can let me know what you need, and the more I can create those very things. You can also support the podcast by liking, reviewing, sharing, and subscribing to the podcast on all of the different platforms that this podcast is hosted on, which include Apple, Spotify, and on YouTube. I hope you enjoyed this episode and all the episodes of Disney Solo Magic. Thank you so much for listening. Bye!